Action. Welcome to the Three Path Profits podcast, where we'll talk about business, finance, social media, and everything in between on our paths to profit. 3 different people, 3 different side hustles, one common goal: profit. My name is Kyle,
My name is Lexi.
My name is Amanda.
and we're your hosts. Set the proper expectations for today's episode. Our format will be as follows. First, we'll hear from Lexi, who will talk everything related to her Etsy shop. Then we'll hear from Kyle, who will teach us all things investing. Last up, we'll hear from Amanda, who will go over the latest in the social media world. Let's dive in.
Okay, so I'm gonna kind of have a bit of a short week here. I was kind of busy with like social life, so just kind of balancing the two. So some stats will start out the last 7 days. I had 12 views, 10 visits, and 0 orders. The last 30 days, I had 72 views, 45 visits, and 4 orders. Overall, I'm still happy with those stats, especially with not continuously posting this past week, a bunch of videos that I've made or whatnot. So I can't really complain with those. I did still at least make items this week. I made a spoon rest for my friend, and next time I see her, I'm going to have her post it on her social media. It's just she lives like 2.5 hours away, so it's kind of hard, and there's no point of me sending it to her whenever I'm going to see her at least sometime soon the next month or two. So kind of on standstill with that, but I at least made it. I got some good video content with it. I also made some stickers for paddle boards for some family. So I'm going to be posting those on social media as well. I got some good videos with that as well that I just need to kind of go through, edit, and post to TikTok and Instagram. I was thinking about maybe posting those to Etsy as well as a thing to purchase, because those could also be kind of considered as decals. So you can use them as either a sticker or a decal, just kind of depending on what you'd want.
What is the definition of decal, and what does that mean? Is that a dumb question?
No, just
Just the way you said it,
you're like so stiff and straight faced.
What the fuck, guys? I'm asking a real question here, and you guys are making me feel stupid.
There's no such thing.
I'm sure I wasn't the only person. If there's anybody
no
listening
such
to this
thing as
who's
a
thinking,
stupid question.
what the fuck is a decal? Can you just like,
You know, like what
it's
people put
probably
on their
something.
laptops, like the back of
Yeah,
or
I'm
like
asking.
anything on their vehicles. Like it's just that's a decal. I don't know like exactly what it stands for, the exact definition. I just know it's a decal.
My main goal of the question was, what's the difference between a sticker and a decal? Like, where does it move from being sticker to now it's a decal?
Well, sticker is probably what you buy at the store, like on a sheet that there's a ton of stickers on. A decal is like when you go to a touristy shop and you buy it's one thing. I would consider that more of a decal. That's in my brain what I would differentiate between the two.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think they kind of be considered interchangeably sometimes, especially with like
So
laptops.
decal is just it's a word for fancy
Yeah.
fancy standalone sticker.
Yes.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
They're synonyms.
Sorry I plagued you with my stupid question. Move on.
It wasn't stupid. It was just the way.
Fucking decals.
So I kind of already touched on it, but I did make more videos of just me making items. So I did some new things in the videos that I was able to make this past week. I used resin, so that's going to be something different that people can kind of see in the videos. I'm going to try to do the shorter clips like you had talked about previously, Amanda, just kind of like split them into shorter clips rather than, because I'm not going to sit there and stop every time I'm making something, because that's just way too difficult and too time consuming. So I'm just going to go through and save each video as like a new copy and be able to edit it that way. So, and then kind of the giveaway with the bookmarks. I know, Amanda, you've been kind of working on the Canva like post on that. So just kind of working with Amanda to kind of move forward with that giveaway to be able to post that and get that out on socials as well. So goals moving forward is just continue to promote, work on the Adobe Photoshop Express. I did end up having to pay for that. So I think it was $8.99 a month if you pay for it for the full year, just so you can actually use everything in the app continuously rather than having to be limited on credits. So you get a limited number of free credits that you can use. So I just used all my free ones. So I'm not really worried about it because it's going to help me in the long run rather than making an item every single time to be able to post it rather than just using that. So in the end, I'm kind of happy with it, even though I have to do an out of pocket expense right now and then just kind of continue to take
So,
videos. Sorry, go ahead.
real quick, when you said it's $8 a month, you paid that annually.
Yeah.
That's a annual charge.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then just kind of continue taking videos of myself making the items and then editing those and posting them just to be able to promote that as well on top of the items.
I haven't played around anymore with putting the bookmark actually on it, but
Yeah.
if you like the wording that I have on it, all that's done. All I need to do is get the
Yeah.
bookmark actually on it.
Yeah, I like it. Because then I can just post on all socials.
Yeah, and
And
so if you remember, I forget if it was last week or the week before that I talked about in Canva how you can like search what kind of design you want to make, whether it be a YouTube banner or Facebook banner or
Mhm.
something like that. And I literally just typed in Instagram story and it gave me the perfect size.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah. I like it. That's all I
Lex,
got.
I had a question for you. How many clips do you have? How many, this is a multi-part question. How many videos do you have for content to post? And then how many items are you up to as listed on your Etsy shop?
So let me go back and look at my videos. Right now, I have 9 videos, all ranging from 10 seconds to 4 minutes.
When you film, do you just use like your camera or do you
Yeah.
record in the yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I just use my camera. I've been trying to like whenever I'm actively changing what I'm doing, I'll start it and stop it, but if I'm doing like something full way
Yeah.
through, I don't really find the need to stop it as I'm doing it. I'll just go in and edit it that way.
Yeah, you just take
So,
like little snippets from the beginning of the
yep.
video, the middle of the video, like just yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So that's kind of what I'm going to do, especially since I have all of that content and be able to kind of move from there. As far as how many listings, I believe it is 7. If I do yes, I have 7 active listings, 6 sales total. If I put the sticker or decal, whatever you want to call it, on, that would bring me up to 8. And again, each time it's 20 cents per month per listing.
The decals, can they go on cars?
Yeah.
So you said 6 sales, but there's 4 orders. So one order was multi-sale.
So that the 4 orders was just over the last 30 days.
Okay.
Overall, I have 6 sales.
Oh, I see that. Okay.
Yep. Yeah. So that's just the last 30 days stats.
Gotcha.
But I
The,
also, sorry, this is just something to touch. I got an email from Etsy seller saying that they're starting a beta program. I don't know anything about it. I just know that they're doing it. So gonna be kind of, I guess, something cool to look into in the future once it actually comes out and there's more to know about it, but just something to at least keep note on.
Yeah.
I did want to ask, what did you think about 10 visits on 12 views? I saw those stats, and what jumped out on me is that's a good conversion rate. That means that people are seeing your post or whatever, and then they're actually visiting the site, right?
To my knowledge, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's good.
Yeah.
Like the last 30-day stats are 72 views with 45 visits.
Yep.
But the last
Mhm.
7 days, that means that the 12 people who saw that were convicted enough to
Yeah.
continue on to the website. I think that's a good a good stat, and that will likely transition into more orders when people are actually visiting the site more. Means your post is attracting.
I like that insight.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely like that people are still going to the site after just viewing an item that I have. Clearly, they are interested enough to go see what else I have on there if they're not exactly wanting to purchase the item that they saw, whatever
One of
that be.
the
So
visits was definitely me because I clicked on your store to go do my review. Did you do
Yeah,
your
and then
review, Kyle? Because whenever I looked,
I think so.
it's literally like 5 of them are me, and then 1 is your mom.
oh yeah,
I
wait.
think I left one, didn't I?
I don't think you did, Kyle. Let me go and double check.
No.
I don't think so. Because I know Amanda did because I got a notification on both of.
I did 3 because I did my sweatshirt and both t-shirts.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I got a notification, I guess, on all of them. But
I do it.
What's a standard Etsy shop have in terms of listings? Like when you guys go to an Etsy shop, is it normally like 10 listings, or is it 100, or is it 500? Like what are we looking at here?
I think it kind of depends per site. I mean, I've seen some with like over 1,000.
Whoa,
Hmm.
really?
Yeah. So I don't know. I guess it kind of depends on what they're selling. I think a lot of people find their niche and stick to it.
Yeah.
That's because that's kind of where my train of thought was going, was either I think you're going to have like hundreds and hundreds of items, like
Mhm.
really being a one-stop shop, or you're going to have like four items
Yep.
that are pretty
Yeah.
much going to be your bread and butter.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. I'm probably most likely going to have things that are my best sellers and then things that I just like to have fun with and maybe have an occasional sale or two on them.
Yeah.
So, or like my like creative coming out rather than just being like safe on things that most people would actually like
I
order
think it would
and
be really cool if you had themed collections like birthday and
Mhm.
weddings and graduations. Like those should be three collections that you just have, and maybe you have three items for each or whatever. And then like maybe even some other things like Christmas or Valentine's Day, Halloween, etc. Having like a themed category of items with a few items like that, like Amanda does with the calendar of like
yep.
her posts, getting those ready to go for Halloween coming up and then Christmas or whatever. I know like that would be that would be good to prepare for.
Yeah, I definitely need to look more on, I would say, actually like the holidays and stuff coming up because I know it seems like it's so far out, but in reality, it's going to be here before we know it. So I kind of need to make sure that I think you can also, I haven't really played around with it much, but I think like what you're saying is you're able to put it into like a certain category on your
Mm.
Etsy shop. So I think I could
So
do
when
that.
people go search that category, yeah, it'll
Yeah.
drive them there.
Yeah.
I don't really have any questions. I just have one kind of comment. I know I've said this before, but I think you would really benefit from updating your current posts and making them more generalized so that more people, like for example the three path profits t-shirt. To me, if I was scrolling through and I saw that, I would just think that it's that t-shirt. You want it
Yeah.
to be that someone knows that they can personalize it.
You want it to be the almost the blank one, or
Yeah,
even
the
just
Yeah.
like
one like when we were talking about last week when it says like your logo here.
Which I actually did make. I'm going to try to show you on my phone. So I did make it on like Adobe.
Oh yeah. Yeah, perfect.
So I'm thinking, yeah, add that to
Yes.
the post as well to so they know exactly like
Right.
here's where your logo can
And
go, whatever you want.
did you figure out if there's a way to do shirt color?
No, I still haven't been able to figure that out. I don't understand why it has like different variations and why some of them are weird. Like it doesn't really make much sense to me.
Yeah.
I think what I'm going to do is try to just take out the main design variation and put color in, and then they
Right.
can just say exactly what they want in the personalization
Right.
like comment area.
Yep. Yep. I totally know what you mean, and I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
You have a question for Kyle here?
Yeah. These are my questions that I've been writing down or like thinking about over the week.
Well, wait. Before
So
we do this, do we want to do it like in Kyle's thing, or do we want to just do them now? Because I have some too.
I say just rapid fire them now.
Okay. All right.
Go ahead.
So the first thing I have is, I know I like mentioned it to you through text, but to bring it up, I don't know if you have it on your list of things to bring up, but the whole Netflix backing 7 million to Kamala. Like how,
Wait, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, I didn't hear that.
I texted you. I texted in our group chat.
Was it?
No, you just said you had a question, I think. I don't think you said what it was.
No.
Yeah. Did you ask them?
No, I said, Kyle, how do you feel about Netflix backing Kamala Harris with 7 mil? Can you talk about how that affects its economic value / stock overall in the next episode? Because I'm genuinely intrigued.
Did I say yes?
You liked it or you loved it.
Well, I mean, yeah, I can still touch on it. I definitely don't have any prepared remarks, but I think when a company makes a political stance, I just don't think it's ever a good idea. I think being apolitical as an organization is just what you should do.
Yeah.
You're going to polarize some of your employees and your customer base, which I just don't think that's a good idea, even if you gain favor in some of your customers. It's too big of a risk in my opinion. So I don't think it's a good move by Netflix. And I think it's also a really scary like precedent or avenue, I guess, where you really don't want these huge corporations getting involved in politics from a voter's perspective anyway. Like I don't want Netflix supporting Kamala. I don't want Netflix giving Kamala money. I don't want these huge companies that are already massive to get any more political favors on their side. So I don't like to see that. I'm not surprised to see it. I don't think it's going to make a huge material impact on Netflix,
Well, so
negative or positive.
this was before, I heard this after I asked you that question or to like bring it up, but then I heard that, I don't know the exact number, but I heard it's an astronomical amount of people that have canceled their Netflix subscriptions.
Oh, I believe it.
Really?
I
Yeah,
canceled
I
mine.
believe
Netflix sucks nowadays. I didn't cancel mine because of that. I canceled mine. Can't talk. Canceled mine a few months ago because Netflix sucks. Like, there's nothing good on it. Half the stuff is in another language.
Yeah.
I mean, the first thing I thought when you were proposing the question was the Anheuser-Busch Dylan Mulvaney example. Them getting slashed for that marketing camp. I mean, they're still feeling the pain from that,
Oh yeah.
and I think
Yep.
Netflix is probably going to have a similar long-lasting effect if those are already being seen, where a lot of people are canceling the subscription because of that.
Yeah.
Your question actually kind of leads in perfectly to one of mine.
Okay.
Because one of mine was about Elon Musk backing Trump.
Yeah, I don't like that either. Me and Dad actually talked about that. That one I did see, I did hear. It was before Trump announced Vance as the VP, and it brought up the idea of like, fuck, Musk is backing Trump. Imagine him as the VP. And like, it was just a scary, dark thought of the two most powerful men in the world. I mean, arguably,
Right.
being
Yeah.
that closely integrated on the same presidential ticket. I just don't think it's good for democracy. I don't think that's good for voters. I just was scared to see that happen because I think it would make a lot of political sense for them to do. But I think it would have had too many people like me being like, "Yo, whoa, let's put the brakes on this. That's a little scary." because I do really like Elon, but I just don't think a man in his position should be getting into politics. Just like we are saying
Yeah.
with Netflix.
I
Yeah.
I agree that I like Elon. I agree with a lot of the stuff that he has to say, but I don't like him in the sense of his power. He
And
Yeah.
here's
It's
the
scary the amount of power that he has, even if he wasn't.
the fine line with that is, and it's a different situation than the Netflix one because he is a human being. He's an individual. Like he has all the same rights that you and I do. And if I had the money to support a political candidate and I felt inclined to do so, I'd say, fuck you. Like, why couldn't I do that?
Right.
So his position, like, yes, I think he should stay out of it just as the same way that Netflix is because he obviously owns multiple corporations and has those interests in mind. But in the same string, if I was in his situation, I feel like I would feel entitled to do so.
I agree. And he has enough money in all the other ventures that it doesn't really matter, even if people leave. And what the people were talking about I was listening to PBD's podcast the other day, and they were just saying how even if people stop buying the cars, he owns like 60% of the chargers that are in the United States. So
Yeah.
even if they're not buying a Tesla, if they're still using an electric vehicle, they're still using his chargers.
Yeah.
That's the argument with Tesla. And I'm going over Ford's earnings in a little bit. That's why Tesla as a company is priced differently than a company like Ford because it's not only a car company, it is a technology
Yeah.
company. And that is how investors are pricing it and why they pay a bigger premium for the company and its projected future earnings because they're expecting growth not seen in just an automotive company, right? Because not only do they own the chargers and the service network, but they own all of
Mm-hmm.
the data of every square inch and square mile that every single Tesla drives
Right.
is computed back to the Tesla supercomputers and the mapping that they have, the autonomous self-driving, the eventual hybrid aerial aviation vehicles. I think that will have a big impact there as well. All of those things are why Tesla is priced differently and it's looked at as differently as not just being a car company because it's not. It has all those other things going for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And another thing that they talked about on the podcast is that so he originally gave X amount of dollars to Trump, whatever, but then he like changed it into they called it a PAC, I think. I forget what the letters stand for,
Yeah.
PAC. So basically he put money into this account or whatever it is, and then that account can be used to support whatever politicians he wants. So
Yeah.
it's just like
Yeah. You've
a
never heard of a
roundabout
super
way
PAC?
where he's not blatantly saying I support Trump, but he's still giving the money from that account to Trump.
Yeah. You've never heard of those?
No.
You didn't learn about that at
I
Hampton?
mean, I
I feel
probably
like we did.
did, but it's not something that's
Yeah.
stuck in my brain.
Yeah. That's standard politics. There's a bunch of rules about like
Yeah.
who can donate to what, and just like we were just talking about, there's a bunch of rules on who can do what and how things need to be disclosed and
Yeah.
all that shit.
Lex, do you have any
Okay.
more?
Yeah. So my next question is, since you have Ford, did you hear that they're trying to patent a way for its cars to report speeding drivers to the police? It says a report containing both speed data and images of the targeted vehicle could then be sent directly to a police car or roadside monitoring units via internet connection, according to Ford.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Say that again.
So Ford is trying to patent a way for its cars to report speeding drivers to the police. It's saying that both the speed data and images of the targeted vehicle could then be sent directly to the police car.
Where they
Or,
getting images? What
I don't know.
images?
It just says speed data and images of the targeted vehicle could then be sent directly to a police car or
Because
roadside
the
monitor
car, yeah, is producing
via
speed
an
data.
internet
What?
connection. That's all I know. That's all I didn't read too like much into it. I just the minute I heard that, I knew since you had Ford, I needed to bring it up.
That's wild.
Yeah, I
Because
don't like it.
I feel like that's gonna deter so many people from wanting a Ford.
Yeah.
I agree.
So
I
that's
don't
something that
like
I'm
it as an investor, knowing that I wouldn't like it as a consumer.
Yeah.
And if Ford cars had that piece of technology and other cars didn't, no shit, I'm buying a different car. So I do
right.
not like to hear that. I'll have to look into it a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's a lot of legality that they would have to go through to make, even if they would file a patent and
Yeah.
get claim to that technology, it still would need to pass legislation or
Oh
whatever
yeah.
to be actual law. And
Yeah.
I don't see how that's constitutional for your car to basically be able to give you a speeding ticket.
Yeah.
Well, it's just kind of
I
asinine to
don't
me.
know.
Like, who in their right mind would buy a car that they willingly know they can't speed in? You know, everyone speeds, whether it's 5 miles an hour over or they drive like an animal. Like, everyone speeds. So,
Yeah.
who in
I
their
just thought
right
that was
mind would buy a
yeah.
car that they know that would happen? That just seems, yeah,
Well, here's the thing. Like, if something like that would happen, for example, and that became like a more cultural standard or norm that like people were like, okay, like this is a thing, legislator passed a law that said that that was okay. Um, People would vote to have the speeding limits raised. And like
Mm,
the next thing would just happen to circumvent that. Or they would want them to be more accurate, right? Because everyone knows that speed limits really are just a suggestion, right?
yeah.
When it says 45 miles per hour and it doesn't change for a 10-mile stretch, but the road goes completely straight for a 3-mile stretch and then it's really windy for a 2-mile stretch, obvious common sense prevails that if you're going 50 in the straightaway, that's okay. And you might need to go 35 around the bends. Like
Yeah.
they would push for that to be more accurate of like changing speed limits appropriately for the roads. So I don't think it's earth shattering news by any means, but is it something to look into? Maybe. Um, I think it would be hard for them to even patent the technology. I'm worried about the legality and I'm worried about how it's going to be received. So
Yeah.
there's a little bit there. It's a good question. Thank you for bringing it up, but I'm not too worried about it.
Okay.
So,
All right. Next up, Southwest announcing that they're going to be charging for seats. It's not going to be like you walk on and you pick whatever seat that you want to choose.
yeah,
So, have you seen anything with their stock prices? I'm curious as what that impact.
do not follow them very closely. I don't really follow any airline stocks that closely. I have looked into them before, and when I've looked in the past, I've liked Delta better as an investment, but Southwest I've always preferred as a consumer. Um, I don't really have too much to add on that just because I'm not too familiar with the stock and how it's been performing. But it was a little bit of sticker shock for me, more as just a consumer, because that's something that I so closely associate with that brand is I got to log on to pick my seat, and like I didn't worry about that with any other one. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how it gets received by consumers and it'll be interesting. Maybe I'll have to take a little deeper
Yeah,
dive.
keep an eye on it. I'm curious because it's my go-to airline as well. I have Southwest credit card,
Yeah.
and I just think that this is first in a series of changes with Southwest because the next thing they're going to do is they're going to not have free bags. You have 2 free checked bags on Southwest, which those are like the 2 best things that Southwest has that differentiates them from other airlines.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, as a consumer, I
yeah,
definitely didn't like reading it or like
no,
finding out that
I
they
hate it.
were
I
switching
hate
it
it.
because like the whole like honestly, it was kind of fun, like the thrill of like 24 hours before you gotta check in.
No, I love it, and because of that, I am like a psycho. Even if I'm not flying Southwest, I check in right at 24 hours regardless of what airline I'm on because
Yeah.
I'm so conditioned to Southwest that you have to do it right then so that you get your good spot.
Yeah.
And I love it. Like couldn't tell you the last time I was on a Southwest flight and I wasn't usually like row 5-ish, but the last time that I wasn't under 10.
Yeah.
I never sit far back on a Southwest flight.
Yeah, and it's like I don't want to have to worry about paying an extra $100 for close to the fucking front.
For that seat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's I don't know.
Yeah, so if you could keep an eye on that, I would appreciate it.
I think their ticker is LUV, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Is that right?
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's their ticker. I'll have to look it up.
And then my next thing, Lex, did you have more?
Nope, I'm good. Those are my two.
My next is I forget what the parent company is, something Morris, Swedish.
Philip Morris.
Just thinking about Kyle Massey.
Philip
Swedish
Morris.
Match. The company that owns Zyn.
Match.
What's going on there? Because Zyn cannot be found anywhere right now.
I don't know. I know it's a big shortage. I mean, I've got a upper decky lip pilly in the lip right now. Shout out Zen. I don't know what's going on. It's been weird. Like everyone, I personally have not really experienced it. I've gone to gas stations and it's been stocked. I haven't had the issue of driving to multiple places just to find Zen. I haven't not found Zen one time. So for me, I haven't had the issue. I've heard about the issue.
The anomaly.
The issue is that, the anomaly. Stores can't keep it stocked fast enough. So what does that mean, or what does that tell me? It means the stock's a buy. That means people can't buy this shit fast enough, and that they're likely and already are raising prices, which is going to translate into better earnings power. So I think it's a good thing for the stock. I don't see how it could be a bad thing unless they're having really bad supply chain issues where it's like a systemic thing that's going to continually cause issues. As long as they're able to curtail this supply issue and start getting those shelf stocks so people can buy and buy away, I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, so I was asking my friend that her fiance used to work for Zyn about it the other day, and she was saying that apparently there's a lot of turnover happening right now. So I don't know if there is stuff going on behind the scenes or not, if that has a correlation to it. I don't know.
A lot of turnover. Did she provide any context? Like a lot of people quitting, or were they just having issues, or
a lot of people leaving is all she said.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Be interesting to find out why.
Yeah. That's all I got for you, kid.
Cool. Before I go, I did just want to touch on Etsy reported earnings today. So Etsy GAAP EPS of 41 cents misses by 5 cents. Revenue of 647 million beats by 18.5 million. So that 20 cents a listing is doing something right. I did actually take a look at the company a little bit. It's an intriguing investment. I'm definitely not sold on their business structure yet. It's a little confusing to me how they make money besides ads, which I guess the 20 cents per listing and some things like that. But one thing that is impressive is they're still competing. And from what I've read briefly, everyone thought they didn't stand a chance because of Shopify and Amazon, but it's clear that they've established a niche for a lot of people, like anything Cricut Co. And that's something to keep a pulse on. So maybe Etsy makes its way into the portfolio eventually. But they don't pay a dividend, so can't be in as of my current requirements right now.
Do they take a percentage of the profit out of what you make, Lex?
I don't think I've actually really ever looked fully at. Let me.
Because I would think that's how they somewhat make their money too, Kyle.
Yeah.
Like if Lexi charges $10 for something, they take $1 or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me go look at and see what it says.
I mean, for comparison here,
There's a transaction fee.
hmm,
It's 6.5% of the item total. There's also a processing fee of 3% of the order total plus 25 cents.
so they're taking off the top, the
Yep.
sides, and the middle.
Yep.
Good for them. But for comparison, for comparison, Etsy is a $7 billion company, and Amazon, its direct competitor, is a $1.95 trillion company.
Damn.
So you could fit thousands of Etsy's into Amazon, and Amazon would still be bigger.
Yeah.
So that's crazy.
Yeah, that is
So
insane.
thought I'd bring that up before we jump in here.
I like it. It's cool to see how everything's like
Yeah, I'll have
intertwining.
to keep a pulse on them and update just because even if they don't make the portfolio, just for extra context.
Yeah.
So, but with that, we'll get into the portfolio update here. Net asset value of $1,000 45.84. That is a 4.58% return. It has been a bumpy few weeks. Last week, the S&P was down just shy of a percent, 0.94% down, with my portfolio returning a positive 1.07%. So outperformed market there a little bit. Best performers and worst performers have really shaken up, and you'll see this. The SPYD is now the leader in the portfolio. That's the S&P dividend ETF. That is now 9% and Coca-Cola is in second, up 8.66%. So those are the best two performers in the portfolio year to date. Worst performers in the portfolio is Kraft Heinz at a measly 0.5% gain. But as you might remember, that's been down, and the worst performer as a negative so far. This is the first week it's in the positive, so that is it trending in the right direction. But Ford really got hit after earnings. I'll touch on this a little bit later, but they are the worst performer in the portfolio. They are down 8.65%. And just to reference last week's, Ford was the best performer in the portfolio at 16.8% return.
Wow.
So you can see some big swings there. Just how I've said it time and time again, earnings reports impact the stock price and they impact the fundamentals of the company, how it's going to be valued, the sentiment around it, and ultimately the stock price. So you can see it was up 17% last week for my portfolio. And this week it is now down 8.65%. So big swing, been a really bumpy few weeks. But with that, we move on. Dividend update still zero for the past week. Still sitting at $8.97 of year to date dividends with $9.09 of cash. Dividend reinvestment is still off. Going to use this cash flow strategically to reinvest. I still love Snap right now, Amanda. I'm going to sound like a broken record probably for the foreseeable future, and then some. But they also just reported earnings and got crushed. They're down over 20% after posting earnings. Slightest of possible misses on revenue. They were supposed to make 1.25 billion. They made 1.24. So basically in line with expectations, but they got pretty beat up for it. EPS was a beat, which for me is more important right now because the story has been the company's not growing as quickly. They need to get costs in check and become more profitable. EPS is a measuring stick of that. They're growing their earnings power, which ultimately can lead to a dividend. So the EPS beat was encouraging. The market didn't agree. They also came out with 11 million subscribers for their premium service. That was a big metric I was looking for. I needed it to be over 11. It was over 11. That's good. The biggest thing that really hurt the stock, and I've mentioned this in the past and why it's so important to listen to the earnings call, not just the report. and listen to what people are saying about it and how analysts and the company forecast for the following quarter. And that's really what hurt the stock. They forecasted lower revenue guidance for the following quarter. And I think it's been a broken record of them guiding softly so that they can beat. And that's been the case pretty often than not. They want to give a soft guide so that they can look good on their report card when the time comes. So that forecast definitely got the stock beat up. Still love the stock overall. Nothing really changed for me in the earnings report. Now on to our companies within the portfolio. Ford reported last Wednesday on the 24th of July. They reported $44.81 billion in revenue on the quarter with 47 cents EPS. The EPS was down a little bit versus the quarter prior, but pretty close to expectations. December 2024 revenue was unchanged, forecasted about 175 billion, and 2025 was unchanged as well at 176 billion forecasting. So for me, nothing really changed with Ford. The development Lexi brought up is something I'll have to look into even more. But this is really for me a cyclical play on the economy that I'm betting on the US. Ford is always been aligned as an American company. To me, it kind of symbolizes American culture, muscle cars, Ford Mustang. I think as the U.S. economy does well, this is a stock that's going to perform well. I think the best days are ahead for America and our stock market. So that's why I'm going to have a lot of conviction to get me out of this name, just from a personal interest standpoint. And they pay a really nice dividend. So while they don't have as many growth prospects besides selling more cars and getting into EV, but they're performing okay. And I'm just holding steady here. So all in all, it was an okay report for Ford. Nothing drastic there to report. Pfizer, on the other hand, they reported on the 30th of July. Bigger report here. Revenue of 13.28 billion. That's a surprise to the upside of 262 million. So they did a lot better than they were expecting. And then on the earnings per share, they beat by 14 cents. Earnings per share of 60 cents a share. Those are both really big numbers that I was not expecting. I was expecting a beat, but these are pretty outsized beats. For comps, last quarter they had 82 cents a share. This quarter was 60 cents a share. Thought last quarter was going to be a little bit of a blip. They outperformed. This quarter was going to come back down to life a little bit. They still performed really strongly in this quarter. And then they forecasted well as well. 2024 revenue, 61 billion, 2025 revenue, 63 billion. To me, this is an encouraging earnings report. Makes me want to add more to the position. Kraft Heinz is up next. They reported yesterday, the 31st. Their revenue was a miss, but it was about in line with my expectation. It was 6.5 billion. EPS was really good, 78 cents. Q1 was 69, so a better sequential quarter over quarter. 2024 in line, 26 billion estimate. 2025, 27 billion estimate. This is a company that I really want to add more to my portfolio. They have solid dividend. I love their brands. It's a defensive stock. And I've mentioned the idea of this rotation, right? Rotation away from the names like Nvidia, Meta, Amazon, these big high tech growth stock names into value or cyclical plays. I think Kraft Heinz has just been in this consolidation, not going up or down, just trading sideways for a long time. And the business fundamentals have all been pretty solid along that time. So I think it's undervalued. I mean, you get to hold and get the dividend while you hold it, and there's opportunity for the company to grow. They can tap new markets, they can increase market share. There are ways for the company to grow, but in the meantime, they pay a juicy dividend. Their coverage was good. Everything in the earnings report looked good by my measures. So eager to add more to Kraft Heinz as well. Any questions on the earnings reports out of you guys?
Mm-mm.
Nope.
Prudential will be on next week's. They actually reported today, but since we're recording late, I'm going to put that on next week just to keep it consistent. Macro update, we talked about, and current events, we talked about Etsy already. Fed holding interest rates. The FOMC met this week. Really volatile market this whole week. It's been up, it's been down, it's been all over the place, but the Fed held rates at their meeting and they indicated the opportunity to cut rates in September. Nothing was earth shattering about what he said, Jerome Powell, the Fed chair. It was pretty much in line with expectation, and he laid out the scenario for him to cut rates in September without guaranteeing that it is, saying that they're going to be data dependent, which is what we expected. Not a whole lot to change there. Really, the market volatility came from earnings this week. Amazon reported, Apple reported, Meta reported, all these huge companies. It's a big earnings week that drives markets. So we'll have more updates on the Fed and inflation data and jobs data, et cetera, as they come out. But next, I have here Steelers season coming up. Excited about the NFL, what that's all going to bring. The Olympics going on right now. It's just a cool time in sports. Very excited about the Pirates as well, like we've mentioned. They've made some trades right here at the trade deadline. Got a couple of bats. Interested to see them make a playoff run. Just a cool time to be a Steelers fan. Really excited for the NFL season. It's a tie-in to, I've talked about DraftKings a lot, and DraftKings actually just reported earnings as well. I think those type of companies, gambling stocks, things like that, are going to do really well through the end of the year, mainly because the Olympics, it's a 1 in 4 year thing. The football season coming up, the explosion of the WNBA, baseball's having a good year, a lot of buzz there. So, still interested in DraftKings. I thought it was just interesting with the Olympics going on right now to bring up. But overall, just to review and conclude, still in sit tight and hold mode. Don't have many dividends in August, like I mentioned last week. I'm considering a change that I don't really have many updates on right now. We'll update on that next week.
Sounds fun.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited for Steelers season coming up too. I'm excited that
Fuck yeah.
I'm getting to 2 games this year because living in Florida, I am lucky if I get to 1 game per year. But you're not coming to the Atlanta one, are you?
No.
Well, we're going on Christmas Day, so you'll be.
I'm going to be going to every home game, so I can't rationalize
Yeah.
paying for a flight, getting somebody to watch the dog, etc., going through all that for an away game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, me,
I might potentially be going to, I believe it's next Friday, the first home season
preseason.
preseason. Yeah.
Is that next Friday already?
There was a
Yeah.
game on tonight, dude. There was a game on at 7 tonight.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Preseason?
Yeah.
Nah.
Yeah. It was Texans, I think.
That was the Hall of Fame game.
But yeah, because I might potentially be
real
going to the first preseason game next Friday.
Anyways,
Interesting.
starting off with my
We're back.
stats and highlights for the week for Cooking Depot, I posted my usual 7 videos. And on TikTok over the last 7 days, I had 180,000 views, 5,737 likes, and 485 new followers. So now follower wise, I'm sitting at 5,310, which I was so happy because I hit that halfway mark finally. 5,000 is halfway to my goal of 10,000. So it just felt so good to be over the hump. Average wise for this week's videos, they were kind of lower than they were last week on average. Most of them were around 1,000 views each. And then I had one video that had 9,363 views. So most of the views were coming from videos posted in past weeks. On Instagram over the last 7 days, I had 4,434 accounts reached, 170 likes, and 2 new followers. So now I'm at 115 followers on Instagram. And on YouTube, I had 5,307 views, 136 likes, 14 new subscribers. Now I'm sitting at 84 subscribers on YouTube. So that's all for Cooking Depot. And then for my Mern account, I actually didn't post any videos this week, no new videos, which I'm not upset about. That's kind of be my more fun leisure account. So if I don't post one, that's fine. I know I did set myself a goal of 1 or 2 a week, but I'm not upset about not posting any this week. Over the last 7 days, I still had on TikTok 466 views, 10 likes, and 0 new followers. So I'm still sitting at 60 followers on TikTok. And then on Instagram, I had 13 accounts reached, 0 likes, and 0 new followers. So still sitting at 23. So that's it stat wise. For some things that I completed this week task wise, I pretty much finished my rough draft for my Thanksgiving menu and my Christmas menu, which I know that sounds so crazy considering today is August 1st. I guess I should mention that we're like 2 months delayed in posting. So when this goes live, it'll be much later than August 1st. But as of August 1st, I already have my rough draft for what I'm going to make for my Thanksgiving menu to post and my Christmas menu to post, because for Christmas, I'm going to do like a 25 days of Christmas thing. So there's 25 videos there, and then I'm going to do 9 videos for Thanksgiving. So it's roughly 35 videos that I'll need to have prepared essentially by Thanksgiving, because this year December 1st is like 2 days after Thanksgiving. So I was just looking at the calendar, doing a little bit of math. There's 16 weeks between now and the week of Thanksgiving. So with 35 videos, I figured I should average about 2 per week, so that one, I can not only not waste as much food, and then also leaving extra time leading up to that. If a recipe doesn't turn out how I like it, I can either tweak that recipe or scrap it and swap it out for something else. So
Are you doing like specifically just holiday food, or are you like doing just like random recipes that you're counting as
a
like
little
your
bit of,
25
I would say a little bit of both. Like a lot
Okay.
of the desserts for Thanksgiving are like pumpkin flavored something or other, apple flavored
Yeah.
something or other. And for Christmas, it's one's a peppermint flavored. Like there's stuff like that it's definitely holiday themed. But overall, like appetizer wise, side wise, it doesn't have to be just for Christmas or Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just some general update things that I experienced throughout the week. Whenever I was grocery shopping the other day, I didn't really have a lot that I needed. So just kind of leisurely walked through all the aisles and looked for new products and stuff. And I actually discovered, I don't know if it's a new, I don't know if it's a new brand per se. I guess it's a brand under umbrella of another company. So it's called Better Goods, and it's actually a food line through Walmart. And a lot of their products have good ingredients in them. Not all do. I did look at the back of quite a few, but the next time you go to Walmart, look around, you will see in all the different sections, they have like taco spice packets, they have ice creams, they have flavored butters near the butters. Once I noticed it and I was looking around, they have so many products. So I definitely want to try some of those and see how that is. But it was also just fun kind of looking at what the pre-made things are as ideas for inspo for stuff to make. Like the other day I ended up making a jalapeno bacon mac and cheese, and that inspo came from seeing one as like a box mac and cheese at the store. So it was just kind of fun grocery shopping, taking my time, leisurely walking through for getting those experiences. On Wednesday last week, after we recorded, I hadn't posted my video yet for the day, and I almost forgot to post, which was so weird to me because it's such a routine now that that's the first time that's ever happened to me where I almost forgot to post for the day. So then I was thinking, I wonder when the last day that I missed was. So then I went back and looked, and May 17th was the last day that I missed one. So it being August 1st, I've had 72 consecutive days that I've posted a video. And I don't think a single one of those was a repeat recipe. I think they were all different. So I thought that was pretty crazy.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
It's very good.
Yeah. I was chatting with one of my girlfriends who has a social media kind of business too. And we were chatting about the feature that I mentioned a week or two ago. I forget which week I mentioned it, about Instagram having the schedule feature for Reels. And she said that she's used it and she's not happy with how it works. Either it doesn't actually post at the time you schedule it to post, or it posts and then doesn't post the caption with it. It's just not accurate. So she doesn't use it anymore. So I thought that was interesting to note. Oh, so I found a couple of recipes that were just too much food that I wanted to break down into like a quarter of a recipe so that I'm not wasting as much. And honestly, I kind of learned some things that the common person should know, I feel like, but I didn't know. And actually, my mom didn't know one of these either whenever I talked to her. So don't cheat. But I want to see if you guys know how many tablespoons are in a cup.
8.
8. The reason I know that, or is it 4?
16.
What?
Mm-hmm.
No way.
Yeah,
well, then how does it? Then that's fucking me all up, because every time like you have like the sticks of butter, like that's what I think of. How it like tells you
a stick of butter is a half of a cup.
I thought it was a cup.
No, a stick of butter is half a cup. So you're right though that there's 8 hash marks on a stick of butter.
Yeah.
And they're each a tablespoon. So that is a good way to think about it. But yeah, stick of butter is half a cup. And then how many teaspoons are in a tablespoon?
4.
Lex?
I have no idea.
Mom said 2, but it's actually 3. There's 3 teaspoons in a tablespoon. Just interesting, right? Like things that I feel like the common person should probably know these things, but it's so easy nowadays to look this stuff up that most people probably won't ever have those memorized. I probably will keep it memorized now because I'll use it enough. But it's good to know though, because then you can do it kind of quick in your head. Like for the first recipe, I was like writing stuff down, doing the math, whatever.
Doing math.
Yeah. But it's definitely something that's good to know if you cook a lot, for sure.
Yeah.
One thing that I hadn't noticed before, I don't know if it's a new thing or I just hadn't noticed it. TikTok Studio, where the insights are, it shows what the most active time is for your followers. The only reason why I think it's new is because it looks like it wasn't really working. So like the chart's there, but there's no actual data on the chart. So I don't know if it's something that they're just pushing out and it's just not totally ready yet. I'll keep an eye on it, but that would be an extremely useful stat because then that would tell me what time of day I should be posting. And then the last thing before I get into some bring in deal updates is I came up with an idea for what I would eventually want to do for a cookbook. I know it's like super early in the game to be thinking about that, but I really like the idea that I came up with. And so hopefully I get to a point where I have enough of a following that I can have my own cookbook someday. For
I
some,
love that. Think
yeah,
big.
yeah. And
Hey, even if you make a cookbook and only 1,000 people buy it, you sell it at $20 a piece.
yeah, for sure. And I think my idea is pretty unique. And so I'm excited.
Are you going to tell us?
Well, I can tell you guys personally, but I'm not going to say it here.
Okay.
So for some brand deal updates, I said that I wanted to send at least one email or contact a brand, whether it be email or through Instagram DMs a week. I sent 2 emails to 2 new brands, and then I got an email response. I forget again if it was last week or the week before, whenever I talked about the one company, how they had a form on their website and the one option was for like PR/media stuff. And so I filled that out and I had gotten a response from a woman at that company saying, this is the email that you should send your inquiry to, blah, blah, blah. So then I sent an email follow up with that email as well. So really 3, but 2 were new brands. And then 1 was just the follow up from that. And then I did send an email to the brand that I talked about that said that they would send me products from their brand. I hadn't received anything yet. So I emailed her yesterday or the day before. And she said that she just sent it that day, that she was out of the office on vacation or something at the end of last week, and that I should have it at some point next week. So that's exciting.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
Are you going to do like a little haul, like whenever you get the items and then like tag them, or how are you going to go about that?
I'll
Yeah.
probably do a few. I'll probably do one where I'm actually like unboxing it just because it's my first.
Yeah.
And then I'll do some videos where I'm using it
I like it.
as well. So then just some things that I want to accomplish in the upcoming week. It's back to school time, so back to meal prep time, which we're filming this a day later than we normally do. So I technically already did that. I did that today. And then I want to start ticking away at those Thanksgiving and Christmas recipes. So pick 2 of whatever I feel like making this week. And I don't know if it was walking through the grocery store or what, but like my creativity juices have been flowing lately. And I have such a long list of things that I want to make. And so there's really 6 that I could probably make this week and just stock up on some content so I'm not filming day by day, especially with going back to work. That's all I got for stuff that I'd like to accomplish. My goals, I'm keeping the same. Make the first dollar, 10,000 followers on TikTok, and I did change it, Kyle, to first paid brand deal. You guys got any questions, comments, concerns for me before I give myself my little shout out?
More just a comment, but I would say, one, the stats look awesome. I would say even you say like you don't have that great of views for this past week, but 180 views over the last 7 days, even if it wasn't for just this week's, is still crazy.
Absolutely, yes.
And I think I'm very excited to see who's sending you stuff. I really want to know.
You'll know whenever I get it.
I'm excited to kind of see all that, see you using it and unboxing and all that fun stuff.
I know.
So,
I'm so excited.
proud of you.
Thanks.
I have a couple things.
Yeah.
It is interesting to note that when you post, it leads to followers, and it's perfect exemplary. The Mern example, like no videos, no additional followers. The 72 consecutive days, hitting your halfway point to your 10,000 followers on TikTok.
Yeah.
It really is just the dedication, the consistency over the motivation of like, it's great that you're feeling really creative right now, but it is really just a numbers game, and
Yeah.
like crunching those numbers, getting it done, just doing the damn thing is more important, and you're doing it, and it's really good. Also, just a note on that, I totally agree. Definitely don't judge Mern in the same way
Yeah.
as you do Cook and Depot. And in the similar vein of like how I advised Lexi to have items that like you are trying to take more seriously or focus as your money items or whatever, and then your creative stuff that really is just fun for you and like that you don't want to lose. And I think that's a good dichotomy that you can have with Cooking Depot and Mern, which I remember when you first came up with the idea to do both, I had pushback of like, isn't that going to be too much? Isn't that going to be burnout? But now I think it's the opposite. I think Mern can be like your release of like, fuck, I'm doing Cooking Depot. I got all this shit to do, blah, blah, blah. You're in your flow. Oh, I'm gonna take a couple hours to work on some Mern shit, and like that'll be fun.
Yeah.
I think that's really good. Um, Next question was, how many posts are you up to now on like IG and TikTok? I know that's something I always look at when I'm looking at a company that's either blown up or something that I'm just diving into. I always look to see how many posts they have, and I know that's a thing of credibility for me.
So on TikTok, it only says likes, followers, and what's the third thing, Lex? Following. So I don't know the exact number on TikTok. I'm sure there's somewhere that I can look. It'll just take me a while to find it on TikTok, but I can tell you quickly on Instagram. I have 148 posts, and I started posting on Instagram like a week, maybe 2 weeks after TikTok. So TikTok probably has like 7 to 14 more than that.
Gotcha. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I do have an idea for Mern or Cooking Depot, however you want to take this.
Hit me.
What about a grocery shop video?
You mean where I'm actually at the grocery store?
Yeah. Like you're talking about all these creative juices are flowing while you're at the grocery store. You're looking at all these brands, you're doing all this, all that. That's a great idea for a video, even if it is just a Mern video of
Yeah.
like my local grocery store or like a grocery store versus a local market video or something like that.
I like it. And
Um,
especially with how I spent a ton of time looking at labels too, the ingredients that were in things. So that could be a huge
the other thing would be
video.
kind of cool is like almost collaborate Mern and Cooking Depot of like going to shop for your grocery stuff at a diner don't, but for a local uh, market. Diner don't
Yeah.
local market
Mm,
Hear
for
your
your
thing.
ingredients
Yes.
for your Cooking Depot shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like
See
that.
what I'm saying?
I like it too.
I know kind of to go off of what Kyle's saying, like a shopping experience or whatever. I know a lot of people will do like the shopping haul and they'll show you like everything that they got for that
I
week or
actually have been
whatever.
doing that. The last 2 times I went grocery shopping, I did post those.
Yeah, so definitely just like keeping note on that, like saying like how much you spent
Yeah.
or like how many like exact meals you got out of it or
Yeah.
whatever, just to be able to kind of show like even though I'm one person, I'm still making all of these things and whatnot.
Yeah. I didn't put how much I spent or anything like that, so I could add those details for sure. I like it.
That is a good thing to start tracking for you. I can't believe I haven't said that yet or been as critical on you as I would have been on Lexi. You need to start tracking costs. This is now to the point, which leads me into my last and final point. Feels like the first dollar is close. It feels like the first brand deal is super close. With that being said, EIN, a spreadsheet, tracking, need to know.
Yes.
I
Totally
know
totally
like
agree
you're
with you.
cringing doing that, but you need to do that because you have no idea how much you've spent so far,
But
right?
so my pushback on that is that it's going to be hard for me to track all expenses because a lot of the times I'm cooking.
Some of it is personal, like, and some of it's like you need to eat.
Right.
Like,
Like a
it's
lot of the times
what are you gonna do? Say
outside of
what's
like cooking for holiday stuff, which holiday stuff I should absolutely track because that is usually more than I normally would. But like recently, the last few weeks, I haven't cooked anything outside of what I want to eat. So like I'm just filming what I'm naturally already eating. So I
so from
wouldn't.
a business standpoint, I would encourage you to track everything then and I know we are Three Path Profits and we're chasing profit, not just revenue. But from a business sense, it makes so much sense to claim as many of those as expenses for the business as
Yeah.
you
I see what
can,
you're saying. Yeah.
even if you're losing money on a profit standpoint, that's fine.
Right.
Like if
Yeah.
you lose $10,000 in fiscal year 2024, but then you make $50,000 in fiscal year 2025, you can carry that loss of $10,000 in
Mm-hmm.
2024 over to 2025. So
Mm-hmm.
go ahead, lose $10,000 this year. Everything that you fucking eat, buy, shop at wherever, like
Right.
even Diner Don't, that $50 bar tab where you got some appetizers and a few drinks is a part of your social media business.
Right.
It's part of your cost of goods sold for producing that video content.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
So not necessarily spend more the better, but track more the better,
Right.
and don't worry about like if you're in the red $1,300, it looks like, because you're saying you're $1,300 in a negative loss, but you needed to eat that food anyway. So,
Yeah.
right.
Right.
But the first dollar's close.
Yeah.
First dollar's close.
I think so too. Oh, and I forgot to add I had this last week. I need to add it to my template so it shows up. I think it was February 22nd. 10,000 followers by my 1 year mark.
Mm-hmm.
I truly feel like it's going to happen sooner. If I continue the trend that I'm on right now, it should happen within the next 2-3 months tops.
Yeah.
You want to know a hot take?
August, September, October. What?
It happens in August.
You think?
I'll bet $100 right here and now. I called it right here. It's August 1st. Guaranteed. I'll put $50 on it to anyone who will take the bet. She's at 5,310 followers. She gained 840 last week, 485 this week. That's a delta of 1,300 in 2 weeks. She's going to get there in August.
Okay.
You got to think a 10% gain on 5,300 is a lot bigger than on 4,000.
Yeah.
Like every time you go up, your reach is growing, so it's easier to gain more followers.
Well, for sure.
Like you said, you had a bad week in terms of viewership. You still gained 500 followers.
Yeah.
If you had a bad week in terms of viewership 2 months ago, you would have gained 4.8 followers. Now, like it's scaling out.
Yeah,
So
and
all it takes, you just need one big week in August, and it's gonna explode
Yeah.
up from there.
yeah, you might be right. I don't know, but I was looking back at some of the emails that I sent to brands, and I don't remember when exactly I started. So I can tell you real quick when I started sending them because it's on my brand communication doc. So the first one I sent was June 18th. And in the first ones I sent, in my little blurb, like I was telling briefly like about my page, whatever, it was like 2,000 followers. So that was a month and a half ago, and I've over doubled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And think about the difference that makes to a brand, to someone on the other side of that,
Mm-hmm.
seeing 2,000 followers
Oh,
versus
yeah.
5,800 or whatever. That's just a huge difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Exciting things. Exciting things. All right. Well, if you want to check out my page, it's cookin.depot, cooking without the G, cookin.depot on Instagram and TikTok. And then YouTube is just Cookin Depot. There's no dot. And then my MERN page, MERN __ on both Instagram and TikTok.
All right, that does it for today's episode of the Three Path Profits podcast. We want to thank you guys for listening and encourage you to leave comments or questions to help us improve moving forward. We'll be posting episodes every Friday, so stay tuned and make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any episodes or important updates. If you enjoyed the podcast, please tell a friend or family member you think would enjoy. And also, please sure to check out our social media pages, TikTok and Instagram at 3.path.profits. We appreciate your support, and we'll catch you next week.